Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. We're up to episode 2 of season 3 Star Trek Picard, entitled Disengage. This was a really good episode. I loved the follow-on from the episode 1. And this is really the flavour of this season. No offence at seasons 1 and 2. They both had enjoyable aspects to them. But I really feel like this season 3 is really smashing it so far. It's really, I'm on the edge of my seat. Love the characters, love where the story's going. It's really interesting. So they're doing a great job so far. Our episode this week starts off with a bit of a flashback 2 weeks prior with Jack Crusher doing a little bit of trading there with some medical supplies and so forth. And they get boarded by the Fenris Rangers. And the Fenris Ranger, he's an Aussie. I thought, oh, I've got an Aussie Fenris Ranger. Good to see some local Aussie support coming into Star Trek there now that obviously Evan Evagora isn't part of the show anymore as Elnor. We've got another Aussie popping up, which is good to see as the somewhat seedy Fenris Ranger looking to do a bit of a deal with Jack Crusher. And we soon find out that at the end of this little exchange, the marked woman is looking for Jack. And obviously the marked woman is the code name for Vadic, our villain of the season, played by Amanda Plummer. And what an amazing job she did in this episode, introducing her character to the Star Trek universe. Jumping back to present day, we see that Shaw is a bit conflicted. He seems to be a captain that likes to kind of play by the rules a bit. He doesn't sort of like to get his hands too dirty. He likes things to be safe and secure and not to stir up trouble. Everything to be fine and safe and no risk. So when it comes to potentially going back in to rescue Picard, Riker and co., he kind of isn't really ready to jump at it too much. He needs to weigh up all his options. He kind of thinks, well, they've got themselves into this trouble and then be damned. Riker, Picard and Crusher on the Helios are going to use the shuttle to get back, but unfortunately that gets taken out by a volley of photon torpedoes pretty quickly. They lose that ability, and things aren't looking too great for our heroes. The name of the shuttle, the Savic, obviously named after the character from Star Trek 2 and 3, obviously played by Robin Curtis and also Kirstie Alley. And back we go to Metallus Prime with Rafi and the whole conspiracy theory thing that's going on with her. She's still trying to talk to her handler, who, as we said in last week's review, we had a pretty good idea it was going to be Worf. Yes, it was. and she's having trouble, obviously, dealing with him. He doesn't want to engage. The missions, as far as he's concerned, is over because they've got some patsy, this Romulan guy, who they've sort of pinned the attack on. It seems like they sort of don't want to dig any deeper. And Rafi knows there's more to it than this. Everything isn't quite as it seems. She's obviously full of conspiracy theories, much like she was in the first season of Picard, where she was all wrapped up in conspiracy theories to do with the synth attack on Mars and everything. She was all falling off the wagon trying to deal with conspiracy theories back then, and it kind of seems like she's got herself wrapped up into more conspiracy theories again now. But it seems like she needs to talk to this Ferengi Sneed to find out exactly what's going on, because he was the broker that kind of did the deal to hand over the portal weapon that obliterated the Starfleet Recruitment Center. Interesting pickup here that his known associates were Morn of Luria, the regular at the DS9 Quark's bar, none other than Quark himself, as well as Brunt, that we saw on DS9 quite a bit too. And Thaden Arcona, seen recently on Prodigy. Meanwhile, back on the Titan, we've got a little bit of animosity going down between Shaw and Seven. Seven's not really doing what Shaw wants, and she's kind of playing it a bit outside what he would consider acceptable rules. And obviously she sort of gets removed from her posting because he sort of isn't particularly happy with the friends she keeps in the way of Picard and Riker. He's not a big fan of them, and obviously Seven's loyalties are more towards them than they are to him, and Shaw's not particularly happy with Seven, so he asks her to kind of step down. Loving that dynamic between Shaw and Seven. There's a really interesting dynamic there that I'm enjoying watching. The enemy vessel tries to beam Jack Crusher on board, but luckily Picard's thought about that a bit ahead of time, and he's put up a few transport inhibitors. Lucky that the Helios had some transport inhibitors, just happened to be standing by there ready to go. So they try to beam him out, but they can't quite do it. They send in a boarding party. Riker's throwing grenades into the path of the boarding party as they're beaming on. So that's not working out too well for them. But based on the firepower of this ship, it's not a ship they want to really get into a skirmish with, because it's pretty heavily armoured and pretty heavily gunned as well. I love the moment when the Shrike has the Helios in the tractor beam, is pulling it in, and all of a sudden, bam, the Titan warps in, comes to a stop right in the path of, in between the Helios and the Shrike, instantly breaking the tractor beam lock, stirring up that situation. We have a quick moment where they have to shoot out the transport inhibitors so they can beam our crew back. But it's an exciting sequence. There's some really cool action stuff in this week's episode. I was really hanging on hanging on every moment in this episode, which was really exciting. Everybody gets beamed back to the Titan, but we soon find out that Jack Crusher has a bit of a somewhat checkered past. Next we have a scene back on Metalis. Rafi has a bit of a chat to her ex-husband. She wants the contact of Sneed the Ferengi that brokered the deal to get the big portal weapon, but the ex-husband's not too happy with her, and he gives her the choice of putting a good word in with their son Gabe to reconnect with him, or to give her the contact Sneed that she needs to unlock this whole conspiracy that's going on. Of course, we kind of know Rafi's going to pick the latter of the two choices. Next, we get an awesome introduction to the character of Vadic. Wow, Amanda Plummer, such a great job. I think her portrayal of the villain in this season is going to be iconic. Iconic villain territory from Amanda Plummer. You know, obviously, her father did such an awesome job in Star Trek 6, Undiscovered Country. She's got that as a bar to reach, and I'm thinking she might even, exceed potentially her father's work as a Star Trek villain in this season. I think she's really done a great job, and I almost expected her at one stage to stand up on the captain's chair there in the bridge of the Shrike and yell, "Any of you f***ing pricks move, and I'll execute every last one of you." That'd be an interesting moment if that did happen. One can only dream. I also got to say, it's a manoeuvre we haven't really seen before, but I love the manoeuvre of the Shrike using the tractor beam to throw the bloody Helios at the Titan. Just skims off the saucer section, and it's like, we haven't seen that before, and I think it was a cool tactic. We find out a little bit more about Jack Crusher's checkered past. He's a bit of an imposter, a bit of a con man, a bit of a scoundrel. He's got multiple identities and occasionally hosts a late night chat show, apparently. And he gets thrown in the brig. And there seems to be this questioning that everybody is sort of questioning without actually questioning. Riker's questioning Picard, Picard's thinking stuff. Nobody's actually saying the words just yet, but the implication is the chance that Jack is in fact Picard's son, which obviously turns out to be the case. I thought the meet-up scene with Rafi and Sneed the Ferengi was great. We haven't seen a Ferengi in Star Trek for quite some time. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. We haven't had a Ferengi in Star Trek since Star Trek Enterprise that's actually delivered lines of dialogue. We've seen a Ferengi as an extra in Discovery, but no Ferengi has ever spoken or had a sizable part of any kind in Discovery. We certainly haven't seen a Ferengi in Picard before. This is quite a monumental moment, I think. I think it's been quite some time since a Ferengi has appeared in Star Trek. Our Ferengi gangster, Sneed, he's a typical Ferengi. I think he did a great job of capturing what the Ferengi's all on about. That was a nice little scene with, Rafi meeting up with the gangster crime lord figure there. Rafi obviously gets forced to do the prove your loyalty test by taking drugs, which is never a good idea. Kids, don't do drugs. It didn't work out too well for her, as the drug was obviously not something that was particularly great, and it ended up sort of knocking her out. But good thing her handler, none other than Worf, as we kind of knew it probably would be, comes to the rescue, dealing some lethal forced damage with his new Klingon weapon, the Kurleth, which we see all in all its glory, impaling Romulans and decapitating Ferengi and all sorts of things. Good on Worf for coming to Rafi's aid right at the last moment there, but as she needed it, you know. And it was a great moment to see the cavalry ride in the form of Worf and help her out there. And good to hear the Klingon theme being incorporated to Worf's appearance, the classic Jerry Goldsmith. Da, 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 da. Next we see obviously Jack Crusher escaping from the brig. He's trying to give himself up to kind of save the ship and everything by beaming himself back to the Shrike and handing himself in. But it's this point where Riker manages to get Beverly conscious again, and without using any words at all, just a few very emotive looks, Beverly pretty much communicates to Jean-Luc that Jack is kind of his son. In which case they abandon the whole plan to hand him over, and it's time for some action. We get a volley of photon torpedoes launched at the Shrike, and they flee into the nebula, pursued by the Shrike shortly thereafter. So yeah, it was a really exciting episode. I loved it. Great way the series is going. We're only up to episode 2, and it's really got me hooked. But I do have questions about Jack being Picard's son and where he has been for the last 30 plus years, because yeah, obviously he wasn't on the Enterprise D or E or anything like that. If I had to put my money on a previous video of mine, I would say that maybe Beverly got pregnant from Jean-Luc during that Naked Now episode where everybody was under the influence and everyone was very amorous, and you know, Data got some with Tasha, and maybe Beverly got some with Jean-Luc at the same time, and that resulted in Jack Crusher, but maybe for some reason she wanted to keep it a secret, so maybe she sent the baby off to be raised, I don't know, on Earth, probably in somewhere in the UK, based on Jack's accent, you know, in secrecy. That would be my, I don't know, that would be my hypothesis off the top of my head, which I guess, you know, that tracks okay. Like, considering Beverly was off at Starfleet Medical for a year during season 2, it would kind of make sense that, hey, her motivation for leaving the ship was more than just because she was heading up Starfleet Medical. It was also because she was off having a sneaky baby and hiding it away. That also raises a bunch of other questions, such as why we never saw of this baby, heard of it for the entire run of Next Generation and all the films. So there are some pretty huge holes in the plot which need filling, and filling in a plausible way that is satisfying to us as an audience. Loving this season so far. Awesome show. Loved it, every bit of it. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, be sure to do so. Click on that subscribe button. Stay up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. Please like and comment on this video. Check out my merch in the merch store. Heaps of Star Trek t-shirts, hoodies, cups, mugs, all that sort of thing. Check them out. Help support the channel and get yourself a bargain. In fact, it's 15% off at the moment until the 27th of February. So be sure to check out that 15% off deal at the moment. I'll be back with my next video very soon. I'll catch you guys soon.